All right, y'all. We got some major updates yesterday. It's about time, right? There's been little to no activity so far, but we got some massive updates yesterday. Some of them had nothing to do with the Dallas Mavericks. A couple of them did, or maybe they do. And to be fair, guys, it's that time of year. And I'm going to speak for myself here. I am an unapologetic Mavs fan. It's that time of year where every little update, whether it be injury update or what have you, everything feels like it's Mavs related. We're gonna talk about what maybe isn't Mavs related as far as like what's being discussed across the league. But obviously, guys, we have a game tonight, 10 p.m. Central, and I know everyone is so excited about that start time. Everybody's even more excited about the opponent that we're facing staying up that late, the Sacramento Kings. But we're going to talk about it today. I didn't come up with a catchy phrase for it yet. I'm going to still workshopping that, but we're going to talk through some bold predictions, okay? I am your host, Ethan, the advisor Clayton. And by the way, y'all, when we go through predictions, the advisor don't miss. Anyway, but welcome to the party, everyone. This is Your Mavs, a Dallas Mavericks podcast where all are welcome. Y'all better behave. Okay, lots to talk about today. Let's dive in. I think maybe we start with tonight's game because that's the most important thing. That's the most concrete thing. There's no that the start time isn't going to be moved. There's no updates that's going to happen throughout the day that changes whether or not we play the Kings. So I'll start there. 10 p.m. tip-off Central Time, that is. 9 p.m. for me. But the Kings, as I talked about yesterday, are a very interesting team. They've got some talented players on their roster. But all in all, the roster just doesn't make sense. And as it stands, the Kings are one of the worst teams in the NBA. But to be fair, guys, if we're looking at the hard data, especially offensive rating, the Mavericks can and probably are considered one of the worst teams in the NBA. Now, everything looks a little bit different whenever we have AD on the court, and I cannot for the life of me remember if AD was active in our last game against Sacramento. Our result tells me that he wasn't there, okay? So, yeah, I think things are going to go differently this time. You can probably read my mind where I'm going with this. Yeah, the Mavericks are going to win. Let's talk specifics, okay? First and foremost, of the 36 games that we have played so far this season, which are, again, our record is 13-23, 27 of those have been 27 of those games have been decided in the clutch. Okay. And I guess, for quick definition, that's 5 points or less score differential in the last 5 minutes of the game. You're like, oh yeah, that tracks. The Mavericks do that every night. So my first bold prediction for tonight, we're going to get a non-clutch victory. I'm talking about a convincing, let's call it 15 to 20 point victory tonight. Okay. I'm feeling pretty okay about this prediction. I'm going to say 128 Dallas Mavericks, 107 Kings. So yeah, 128 to 107. The Dallas Mavericks win in convincing fashion tonight. Nice 21 point victory. Okay. So that's the score line I see happening. Again, Kings are not playing well. The Mavericks are showing little spurts here and there of playing well. But all in all, this roster with Anthony Davis healthy on the court, we could beat anybody on any night. We can put up 130 on anybody any night. Now, I'm not saying we're putting up 130. We're going to get close, though. Let's talk individual performances here. The only thing that I'm interested in, like watching from the Kings tonight, and I said this yesterday, Maxime Renaud. He was a monster last time we played against him, and he's had a nice stretch of games where he's getting double-doubles. He's shooting the ball efficiently in the paint. He's offered some rim protection for the Kings. He's been a really fun rookie, and by the way, what a freaking rookie class this has wound up being. I don't know that we're going to see anything like this for a while, even though this 2026 draft is being chalked up as one of the best we've seen in a very long time. I'm like, what about 2025? Because we're talking about second rounders like Renaud and Kalkbrenner over at the Hornets. They have been outstanding. Okay. But if we look heading into the night, what Renaud has been so good about is getting offensive boards and getting second chance points, little easy buckets after a miss. If we can find a way to minimize the offensive rebounds that Reno gets, I think we can run away from the Kings like early and not really have much drama. Okay, because the Kings shot the cover off the ball last time we played them, specifically Keon Ellis, who also is in trade conversations every single day. He's showing out a little bit. I don't know that he can score 23 on us again. I don't know that the Kings will shoot as well as they did last time. But Reno is who I've got my eyes on, because if they aren't shooting the ball well, but they're able to, again, get the easy second chance points because Reno is bullying AD. Like I expect to see AD putting a body on him today and hopefully get a nice double-double. We'll talk about AD in a second. But so that's my prediction for the Kings. Reno is the guy to watch. I'm not all that worried about Russell Westbrook. I'm not all that worried about Zach LaVine. Keegan Murray will not play because of an ankle injury. So, man, it will be so disgusting if we wind up finding a way to lose this game. We're going to win. Maxime Reno is the guy to keep an eye on for the Kings. And as far as individual performances for the Mavs, I'm going to throw two at you. Obviously, I want to talk about Cooper Flagg for a second because the rookie wall conversation is all over the place right now. And I'm already over it. I said it yesterday. I don't think that this classifies as a rookie wall because of how well he is playing overall, right? If he was getting cooked on defense, if he was turning the ball over left and right and not setting his teammates up at all, if he wasn't making good decisions while running fast breaks, I would be worried about a rookie wall. Okay. This is just a shooting slump that he has experienced, right? It could be exhaustion. It could be the thumb thing that he's had I don't even think he's wearing that thumb splint anymore. So guys, I'm not worried about it. It's just been a little shooting slump, and I think he gets out of it. Like I'm going to keep talking about this every game until he is out of that shooting slump. I do expect him to pour it on tonight. Nick Clifford, another interesting name for the Kings right now. He's also a rookie. He's getting more and more playtime these days because of all the injuries that have plagued the Kings, and he's looked pretty good. Anytime Cooper Flagg is matched up with another rookie or a noteworthy rookie, I personally think that Cooper looks at that as an opportunity to really show out, and he's got another opportunity for that tonight. Let's talk about 25, 10, and 7. 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists for our guy tonight. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think, it's up to it. This is Jason Kidd's duty to make sure that coming off right out of tip-off, that we are feeding Coop early and often. And Cooper Flagg, my man, if you're listening, watching today, let me just say, please take some three-pointers, right? Like you have so many opportunities throughout the game where you may not be wide open, but you've got a step or two on the defender where like they could close on you, but you're taller than them. Just fire it up. You're not ever going to find your stroke. You're not ever going to find your rhythm if you're too scared to shoot the threes. So that's what I want to see tonight. 25, 10, and 7 from Cooper Flagg. And the other individual performance I see happening tonight that is of note, Max Christie. Okay. I don't know why I gave a pregnant pause there. It really isn't that dramatic of a statement to make. Max Christie is on fire right now. Okay. He's averaging about 22 points over the last 4 games. So I think we get oh man, wouldn't it be so fun if Cooper Flagg gets 25, Max Christie gets 25, AD gets 25? That I don't know. I'm not going to go that far with my predictions, but I do think we get at least another 20-point game from Max Christie tonight. And speaking of 3-point attempts, I'm going to say the same thing to Max as if he is listening to this podcast. Like, just fire it up. 6 attempts per game when you're hitting 45%. That's not enough. Like, it's got to be 9, 10, 11 3-pointers per game. Let her rip, my man. So, again, bold predictions. Let's recap. Mavericks win 128-107. So it's going to be a nice offensive showing. I think we're going to take a lead early. We're going to build it, and then we're going to not take the foot off the pedal the entire game. Like, that's what I see happening tonight. At least That's what I hope happens. We're going to have to keep an eye on Maxime Renaud, though. If he gets like a 15-point double-double on us, we might be in trouble because, again, those easy second chance points, those have kind of been a nightmare for the Mavericks all season, and that is Renaud's specialty. So we got to keep an eye on that. And then individual performances, we're going to get 25, 10, and 7 from Cooper Flagg, and then at least another 20-point showing from Max Christie. There you have it. Those are my bold predictions. Why don't you guys sound off in the comment section what you see happening? Or if you think I'm crazy for the predictions that I made. Like, let's keep the discussion going in the comment section. Now let's move on. I spent way too much time talking about the Sacramento Kings there for a minute. Why don't we move on to some of the major updates that I teased in the intro? Okay, again, this time of year, every little update, Mavs fans, including me, try to make it about us. And we're going to do that for the next several minutes here. So update number 1. It was reported yesterday, Anthony Davis prefers to stay in Dallas long-term and sign a contract extension. Okay, cool story, bro. This is what I think is happening. And Tim McMahon even kind of confirmed what I was thinking here. Basically, the Mavericks are trying to drum up interest. I'm not saying that AD doesn't have a trade market, because he clearly does. Teams have called, and we've had at least exploratory conversations with multiple teams. So there is a trade market for AD, but the Mavs are trying to put fuel to the fire here, right? And so what I think happened is yesterday when this report came out, that is very much just a leak from within AD's camp. Like, it could be Rich Paul, it could be just somebody else in that little bubble where they're talking about how much he wants to stay in Dallas long term and sign that contract extension. Because then if you have even considered trading for Anthony Davis at this point, you're like, well, if he's really wanting to stay, we might have to up our offer a little bit, right? Like, we might have to include another pick, or that guy that we didn't necessarily want to get rid of unless it was for the right price. We may have to include this guy in order to sway AD out of Dallas. Now, I could just be grasping at straws here. Who really knows what's going on? But yeah, the AD reports are conflicting every day, and that one, I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt. I don't believe it. I think it's BS. If he does want to stick around long term and sign a contract extension, how does a 3-year, $75 million deal sound to you, AD? $25 million a year to play at least, maybe half the games. I think that's fair. What do you guys think? But I'm going to move past AD because we talk about him every day. This next one could be Mavs related, could not. This is an update for the Atlanta Hawks. It was reported yesterday by Mark Stein that Trae Young and his camp are now aware of the Hawks' intention of trading him before the deadline. Okay, why? How has Trae Young fallen so hard, so fast? Basically, the recipe is when he has been out this season, they have been an awesome team. When he has been on the court, they have been not very good. 2-8 record with Trae Young on the court this season. And they have a little bit of a tricky contract situation with him that's brewing coming this summer. If they do not trade him this season, okay, and I got into a debate with somebody on Twitter yesterday about this. If they do not trade him this season, he can opt in to the last year of his contract, and they're on the hook for that $49 million. And they've basically lost all leverage because everybody knows, okay, on the one hand, expiring contracts are an attractive trade asset. But if everybody knows that the Hawks are trying to move Trae and he opts into his contract next season, don't you think they lose a little bit of leverage with the rest of the league? They're like, hey, you're just flirting with disaster here. If we don't agree to this trade that you've offered us, you're just going to lose him for free, right? So obviously, Mavericks hear that report, and there's been the ongoing back and forth between Dallas and Atlanta about the AD trade. So Dallas Mavericks fans hear that update and they're like, uh-oh, there's our third team for the 3-team trade. All right. And specifically, it was reported that the Washington Wizards have emerged as a legitimate candidate for Trae Young. Cool. Let's banish that homie to the shadow realm. That is a great example of a team that could facilitate a 3-team trade with Dallas and Atlanta. Okay. Because now Atlanta doesn't have to think through the lens of, oh man, we're going to have to extend Trey and Anthony Davis in the same summer. That's basically committing $500 million to those two players over the next 4 or 5 seasons. I wouldn't want to do that either. But if Trey's contract is offloaded to a bottom feeder with cap space, enter Washington, well, that suddenly makes this deal a lot easier to get done, because now if they're trading for AD, yeah, they do still have to think about that price tag. They do still have to think about that looming contract extension. However, if they truly feel that trading for Anthony Davis makes them a legitimate title contender, or at least clears the path for them to win the East and go to the NBA Finals, then do it. Do it right now. As it stands, Anthony Davis is the best player available on the trade market. And that includes Trae Young. So if I'm Atlanta, I at least think about it a lot more seriously now. But either way, there are conversations being had between the Hawks and the Wizards for Trae Young. Okay. The Wizards have the expiring contract of CJ McCollum, and they have Chris Middleton. Those are both guys that have been rumored to be like buyout candidates here in the next month or so. But Mavs fans hear that news and their ears perk up like, okay, there's our third team. We'll see if that actually materializes at all. But that certainly made me feel a lot more encouraged about the ability for the Mavs to get a deal done with the Hawks, because Trae Young, that contract has to be moved if the Hawks are going to do something with us. So the last update that definitely could be related to the Mavericks is, a few weeks ago it was reported that the Indiana Pacers are looking for a starting level center. And, they have been specifically tied to Daniel Gafford. That is a name and a player that they are interested in. So yesterday it was reported that the Indiana Pacers have waived their backup center, Tony Bradley. So again, ears perk up. What does this mean? Insert the Brian Windhorst meme. You know what I'm talking about. What's going on? So I think this means that there is very definitely a move on the horizon for the Pacers. And if they got the guy that they wanted, Daniel Gafford, then yeah, definitely that impacts us. And we've talked about it before here on the show several times. I think if we're dealing with Indiana and we're sending out Daniel Gafford, I need a pick and I need Benedict Mathurin. Thank you very much. But whether or not that update yesterday had anything to do with the Mavericks, we'll see. I think it does. I think I don't necessarily believe in coincidences, but I also don't truly understand what happens behind the scenes here. So, I speculate just like everybody else does. I don't have inside sources at the moment. But speaking of which, I mentioned this in the intro, and I'll wrap up after this. It's that time of the season where every little update feels like it's related to the Mavericks. My favorite thing about this season, or this time of the year, the injury reports. Okay, so it was about a week ago. Trae Young, Kristaps Porzingis, and Luke Kennard were all listed as out on the Hawks injury report, and everybody was like, "Oh, there it is! Wait for that trade update to drop. Wait for that Shams bomb." It didn't happen, but no matter what, guys, we are now one day less than a month away from the trade deadline. There are some massive things coming, like whether or not it's for the Dallas Mavericks. This is not going to be a quiet trade deadline, in my opinion. Okay, so let's go get this W tonight. Not that I'm like fully tank or not tank. I just like winning, and I think we've dug a deep enough hole now that we're not going to legitimately ever fight for a playoff spot, like maybe a play-in. But now the Denver Nuggets are kind of falling in the standings because of all their injuries. And so, how would you like to be the OKC Thunder as the 1 seed and face the Denver Nuggets as an 8 seed first round of the playoffs? But anyway, that's all I got for you today. We're going to win tonight. You heard it here first. Cooper Flagg's going to break his shooting slump tonight. You heard it here first. In the meantime, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section. I've really been enjoying the conversations we've been having. Really appreciate all of you. Thanks for stopping by early this morning. Y'all be good. Party on.